Thank you very much, Danny Roberts, for your kind introduction. Let me recognize at the outset the chairman of Palace, Mr. Patrick Campbell, and the founder, Rula Brown, and all the executive board members. Let me also recognize all the scholarship recipients here this afternoon, and their parents and friends and family who have come to support them. Give yourselves a big round of applause. I really want, first of all, to identify with everything that Patrick Campbell said. I not only identify with it, but I take note also in kind of trying to attach myself to his concepts that we both went to the same school, but not at the same time. And certainly, I am certain that the financial reward provided by your stint at JC is entirely different from what I'm experiencing. But quite seriously though, I want to say that this has been a tremendously inspiring afternoon for me. And I want to commend Palace and all the people who have had anything to do with its foundation and its subsequent development for the tremendous work of service that they're giving to so many Jamaicans. Over the past 6 years, this is the 7th year, they have managed to raise and distribute over $33 million in support to Jamaican students. The motto, preserving young minds for posterity, signals your goal in supporting Jamaica's human resources for national development. In congratulating all the recipients, though, I also want to congratulate the family and friends of the recipients. I think there is an important lesson to the presence of family members here, which is simply that all worthwhile endeavor is ultimately a collective endeavor. None of us in life accomplish anything by ourselves. Anything we accomplish is because others have put their energies to support us, to lift us up, to be the wind beneath our sails in the song so beautifully sung by Maria Myrie. People who stood with us to help find school fees, help find books, just talk with us when we had a crisis, encourage us in the midnight before exams. All those people are partly responsible for whatever success any of us has achieved in life. And it is important to reinforce the message that was given by Patrick Campbell, that we all, by virtue of that fact, have an obligation to pay it forward, to assist someone else who is following in that same path. I want to spend a few minutes, and I'm really not sticking to any text that I had prepared, because there are some important lessons that have struck me this afternoon. and that I would like to just share with you. The first point is the sense of patriotic commitment that the executive board and members and supporters of Palace are showing us all here today. Again, I wanted to give them, Palace founders, chairman, executive board members, a round of applause showing appreciation for what they have done. But there is something in their commitment that I want all of us to take, not just the need to pay it forward, but that they, despite having gone off to the United States and done well, still feel their own future bound up with this piece of rock that we call Jamaica. And there is a message in that, because it is natural. It is natural for the human being to have a special attachment to the place that they were born. You know, I might not find the same moving emotions when I look out at the Sahara Desert that the North African feels, because desert doesn't move me the same way like I feel when I stand up over Spur Tree Hill. But it moves them, because it is just a mystery of nature that all of us here born on this piece of rock called Jamaica will forever find that our fortunes and our emotions are bound up with this place. And so even as we pay forward whatever benefits we have received, let us understand that we need to accept that our success as individuals is going to be tied up with the success that we make of this nation called Jamaica. And in the experience of Palace too, we take both the good of the inspiration and the commitment that the Palace board is showing us, but we need to also take and reflect on the more sobering aspects of the inspiration. The fact that the impetus for the formation of this enterprise came from the brutal murder of Vanessa Campbell some years ago. And from the fact that, as was so eloquently and I must say sobering account given by Patrick Campbell of the gunfire that he experienced as a young man, political conflict at that time. But we still face too much violent crime and criminality, which is a blot on the conscience of all of us and a scar on the landscape of Jamaica. And as we make our commitments to do better and to use the benefits here provided by Palace to advance ourselves, let us also dedicate ourselves in whatever way we can to ensuring that another generation does not have to come forward recounting the experience that Patrick Campbell had growing up in Jamaica. Time come when we have to put that behind us as a country. But the real focus of what I really want us to examine is how are we going to ensure that our educational system and the passage of our students through the educational system doesn't have to involve the kind of trauma that so many of our young people experience year after year. And what do I mean by this? First of all, I gather yesterday or today the results of the country's performance in the CSEC exams have come out. Well, the first point I would make is to commend all those who have had success. But we need to recognize that in the Caribbean, and indeed internationally, our educational performance as a country is substandard. Despite the educational revolution started in the late 50s, mid-50s, that saw the introduction of 2,000 scholarships based upon the common entrance, as it was called then. Prior to that, in 1957, there were 12 scholarships that enabled ordinary Jamaicans without means to get access to secondary education. 12. This year, every single Jamaican child of qualifying age has access to a secondary school. But the essential truth is that not all our schools are giving the same quality education. And in reality, each year, at the end of the secondary school leaving years, about 50% of our children in each cohort are leaving school without any adequate qualifications either to proceed to further study or to proceed effectively in the world of work, where, as was quoted by the Gold Star winner, quoting Barack Obama, today's world is a world where knowledge drives economic activity. It's a knowledge-driven activity. Without preparation through adequate education, you're not really having a chance to move forward. So we are effectively, as a country, leaving behind on the margins of modern life about 50% of each school-leaving cohort. There's another effect of this, what is still effectively a two-tiered educational system. Everybody knows, every Jamaican knows who is honest, that when the GSAT results come out, every family is overcome by anxiety. Because if you get to go to some of our schools, you know that your life is likely to be set on a good path. If you get to go to some of the, what you would call the name brand schools, the so-called traditional high schools. And if you don't get to go to one of those, chances are your life experiences are going to be different. This is not a fair burden to ask an 11-year-old child to take on. And in so many instances, people coming from, we have our students choosing because they know this and the families know this. You have young children, 11, 12 years old, deciding to travel 60, 70 miles, wake up to go to school in the morning, wake up 4 o'clock in the morning, take the bus going all the way from St. Thomas or Manchester to come to town or go halfway across the country. Come back, leave home at night, come back at night in order to get an education. That is a huge burden also that we are putting on our young children to succeed, and it is a testament to their determination and that of their families, that despite all of these pressures, so many do in fact make it through the system. Shows the resilience of our Jamaican people and our families and our children. And then on top of it, there's the question of financing, which is an element of the problem that Palace is seeking to address. But again, if we just look at the experience that we have as a country, the efforts that have to be made back to school every September is like a traumatic experience again for so many families. Members of Parliament, councillors properly, make a contribution, communities organize community back to school fairs, again properly. Organizations like Palace and so many others do their bit. But all of this is reflecting a basic reality. That is, proper education is a costly endeavor. And if we are not to shortchange our schools or our children, we need to organize the whole society to do more to ensure that it is not such a traumatic experience for families and children to find their way through. So, in commending Palace for what they are doing, what I'm saying is that rather than simply leave it to the uncertainties of the benevolence of some patriotic individuals, we ought to be, as a country, accepting the reality that for some time to come, the resources that government can provide for this task will have to be augmented by other resources, and that the task of national leadership is not to pretend that the crisis of financing education does not exist, but rather to reach out and mobilize the society as a whole to confront this task. Where are the elements to come from to provide the financing? Certainly, some parents who can manage it should be called upon to manage it, ensuring always that no child is denied because their parents can't afford it. But equally, we're going to have to call upon and organize more effectively our partners in the diaspora, not just to have it depending on the goodwill of a few, but to see if we can organize this goodwill into some comprehensive national effort. We need to recognize too that there is a tremendous resource in the churches and the community of faith. Of the 1,000 schools in Jamaica, about 600 of them have a direct connection to the church. And we're going to have to find ways to mobilize the energies of not just the churches, but also of the old students associations. Because we cannot afford for another decade to pass, not even 1 year to pass, while we allow so many of our young people to have no future other than, as we can see in any of our town centers, standing up outside the betting shop day after day, rolling a spliff and living in some world of vain hope. We are not being fair to them, and we're not being fair to our country, and we're not being fair to the dreams, hopes, and aspirations of those who struggled, fought, and died for the rights that we now enjoy in this country. So, in celebrating the tremendous effort that has been made by Palace, I want to urge that we all take their example as an inspiration to try to design a better way going forward. We in the People's National Party are, in the very near future, going to be establishing an Education Transformation Commission that will embrace dialogue with all elements, because this task is not a partisan task. It is a national task if we are to have any hope of advancing as a country and securing the kind of standards of living and quality of life which all Jamaicans aspire to. We will never achieve that if, as is the case now, 60% of the workers in this country, as Danny Roberts knows, have no certification. High incomes require high productivity. High productivity requires a well-educated and trained workforce. There's no other way. So as we draw inspiration from the Palace experience, let us determine that we will start the national conversation. We will take part in the national conversation. And the second element of the lesson that I want us to draw is really one directed at the recipients. Remember, in the words of Patrick Campbell, pay it forward. Participate in the conversation, because in the end, it is a truism that Jamaica's future is your future. Wherever you go, if you end up in North America or in China, whenever the name Jamaica flashes on the screen of your television or your smartphone, a little part of you will always be affected by the fortunes of Jamaica, land we love. Thank you very much. God bless you, and congratulations.